Hi, it's Jim Reed with Summit Funding and Next Level Coaching. And so what we do is twice a month, we interview top producers at Summit to give you guys some content, some stuff to listen to keep you motivated. I think the next 18 months, we're sitting here on April 26th at 2:50 Pacific time. It's been a slow week. Like I'm getting phone calls from all my friends at the core going, man, it's creepy slow. It's slow over there. It's slow over there. It's slow over there. It's slow over there. Yeah, it's slow over here. It's slower than it has been. We've been on a 2-year mortgage Disneyland, and Easter break is Easter break, and it always slows down, but it seems like I always forget that it slows down. It kind of freaks me out. But I don't mind being freaked out because I get more active. So today, I'm super happy. I feel super lucky because we're going to interview Lacey Morris and find out a little bit about what she's doing, well, a little bit about her history, what she's doing right now, but also I want her to share a leveraged event she's been doing that when I saw it, I was like, wow, really smart stuff. Like, you're a very smart originator. So how's it going, Lacey?
It's going good.
Yeah.
Obviously, in a fun market. Yeah, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in a suburb called Lee Summit, Missouri. We're about 20 miles outside of Kansas City.
How many people live in your greater area?
I mean, we're super close to, we have a bunch of big cities kind of all around us. So a couple 100,000, honestly.
So a couple 100,000. Mm-hmm. People crack me up. Like Greater Sacramento is a little over 1 million. You got a couple 100,000. People say, "Oh, my market's too small." So you got a couple 100,000. And how many loans are you closing this month?
Me personally, in April, I'm closing 24.
Yeah. And how many loans did you close last year? I'm laughing because everybody's telling me that it's not the loans aren't out there, and here you are in a 200,000 person community, and you're closing 24 loans. I mean, it's impressive. How many loans did you do last year?
330.
It's a lot of units. What kind of volume was that?
82 million.
82 million. So tiny little
78% or 79% purchase.
Nice. So tell us how you got in the business. Like, tell us your background a little bit and how you got in the business and how long ago it was and all that good stuff.
So this is my 20th year in the mortgage business, which is crazy. So my junior year in college, I graduated college in a little less than a little over 2.5 years. So I was a little eager beaver for sure, but I took internships, anything I could do to get credit hours. And my dad hooked me up with a mortgage broker to give me a summer credit hour. And so I started as an intern just to get through college pretty much. I actually was in school to be an actual science. I was actual science major. So I wanted to be an actuarian. And
hold on, time out.
Yeah.
What the heck is that?
An actuarian, it's a really high math degree. And what they do is analyze
really
risk.
High math, MATH. Wow. Okay, keep going.
Yep, and they analyze risk. So it actually paid off for me in what we do in the mortgage business. But I went and did an internship, and I loved it. I love numbers. I love people. And my biggest fear with being an actuarian is you never saw people. You just stayed, locked up somewhere crunching numbers all day long. So it made me kind of shift my focus. I loved what I was doing. I came in actually as a processor, but I quickly saw other loan officers and decided I wanted to do that. I learned every part of the whole mortgage brokering business very, very quickly. And my boss came to me because a position opened up and offered me a salary of like $110,000 at 19 years old. But he needed
That's a lot in the mortgage business, a salary, especially in Kansas City, Missouri.
I know. Well, he didn't offer me that. He offered me 80, but I made 110 my first year because I started bringing in loans quickly because I wanted to make more money. Yeah. And so I ended up testing out of college. It's a whole nother story, but got into business then and have stayed in it since. So been with 4 companies since through all of that movement. But yeah, 20 years.
Wow. Who taught you? Like, I always say, you want to be a really good originator. The reason we can make so much money is that it is a diverse skill set, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't just be a salesperson and make it. Right. You can't just be a technical person and make it. You got to be a salesperson, a technical person, and you got to be a manager of other people. So it's really not that easy.
Right.
So when there's, you know, a lot of these people listening to it are reinventing themselves right now. So, you know, I call it Madonna. Like Madonna's a material girl, then she's writing children's books, then she's doing house music. Now she's like doing movies and acting or whatever. I don't even know what she's doing. But our industry changes and we have to adapt with it and reinvent ourselves. And so, but what matters to get through these changing markets is the three ingredients are you have to be like a master technician, you have to have really good sales ability, and then you have to have really good ops. Right? That's the company you work for. So
and accountability.
That's coaching, right? Next time we go next level, right? Ooh,
Yep.
that fit good. But who taught you cash credit income? How'd you learn that? I know it seems like you're really book smart and you have social skills, which aren't that, you know, sometimes that doesn't go hand in hand. Who taught you cash credit income? My
first mortgage boss. So he was the broker, owned the company. He's the one that taught me really just the quick basics. And I learned quickly how to do everything by hand, and you would laugh at me, but I still calculate DTI by hand. I still do self-employment by hand. I don't trust calculators. So I show everybody on my team how to do it. They have to figure out the calculators, but for me, I want to know the theory behind it. So he taught me how to do that. So I can make sense of things with underwriting and whatnot, because I know how to be able to calculate it that way. But I'm still old school. I like to make sure that whatever's in the system is how I would be figuring it. So for me, I used to bring a cup of coffee 3 or 4 days a week to this lady named Kay Yarber. She was an underwriter at the mortgage company that was in the same building, and I would bring her a pay stub or a credit report or a tax return and grill her 10, 15 minutes. You do that for a year. If you're out there listening and you want to be a master technician, pick a mentor and talk to them for 10 or 15 minutes every day, ask them questions about stuff. A year later, you will have it. Yep. So you worked for this mortgage broker, and then what happened in your career? I moved from him to another company. I actually had a financial planner recruit me to try to open up a mortgage business, which we did for 3 years. And it was in the middle of everything going south in 2008. And so I moved at that point from him to Wells Fargo. So I worked for Wells Fargo. It was actually a DBA. So it was an in-house lender for our biggest real estate company in our market, which is called Reese & Nichols. And so I moved with that company, and I was with them for almost 6 years. I got experience being an in-house lender, learned a lot there, not like having to actually still earn business, not get it. And I think that's a really good thing, because right now we're going into this market where we've been given a lot of business, and we have to go back now and we have to earn a lot of business. And so we got to be fine tuning what we're doing right now. Yeah. Because it's not going to be just given to us. We have to earn it. What are you doing to fine tune it? That's what I want to get to. So I know there's a presentation I want you to share, but what are you doing to go get the business these days in the last couple of months? Yeah. So for me, because rates have been so crazy and there's a lot going on in the market, I am an expert. I've done this 20 years. I've been around forever. I want to be the one leading the show. I want to be the one teaching real estate agents what's going on so they know really what it is, but then also how to be calm about it and teach others and still promote home ownership. I believe in home ownership, whether the rates are at 7% or whether they're at 2%. So it's very important to me. And I don't just believe in that because of it's what I do, like it's how I earn an income. I believe in it because over 20 years, I've seen a lot of people purchase homes, and with appreciation and then paying down their home, that now is a down payment on the next home. And when they are doing that and they're investing in a primary residence, that's how you accumulate wealth. And so I teach that. And so right now, yes, we're in a higher rate market, but I am going around to different real estate offices and I'm talking to the brokers and I'm saying, how scared is everybody? Let me come in and let me show your agents so we can calm them down. We can refocus them and have them go get the business and have them be able to explain it and have a better understanding. So that's kind of my strategy right now. I've been teaching a lot around what the rates are doing. So I just did a sales tip, Tuesday sales tip, and my sales tip, it's weird that you said that, was, hey, don't have 12 topics for your leveraged events for the calendar year. Get really good at 2 or 3 topics and teach them all over town. Right? And it's funny because that's exactly what you're saying. And the one that I saw recently, I don't know what you call it, but I thought it was
really good. I don't know what I was gonna say, but I thought it was really, really good. So maybe you can walk us through a little bit of part of that. Like my favorite part about it, and I gotta give you some credit. I used it today. I didn't do it as well as you with the PowerPoints. I can't really get there. I'm a little bit more of a gunslinger, but to have a story, like, I don't want to steal your thunder. Show us your story about your actual client. I think that's amazing.
Cool. So my lunch and learn, and I shared it yesterday, I believe, with all LOs in our entire company. So if you didn't get it, we have it, and I'm sharing it with everybody. Now, obviously, you need to change my picture. You need to change my story, make it your own story, make it your own success story. But at the beginning of the presentation, and when I teach this to real estate agents, I tell them in the beginning of this, guys, you're going to have some feelings going on inside of you that scare you. You're going to have some anxiety. You're going to have some, oh my gosh, should I be looking for other employment, or what this is going to look like? So in the beginning of my presentation, it's going to stir up some of those emotions. So recognize those and know that's happening. But please hear me out, because we're going to get through some of that anxiety piece. And then I'm going to land the plane, and I'm going to teach you how to be calm about this. I'm going to teach you how to show other people how to be calm about this. And that is where we need to get to, because it's creating so much fear and panic. If you attribute to that, you will not be closing any business, period. If you can calm people down and relax them, you will.
It's the opportunity, right? Hey, what's the opportunity in a weird market? The opportunity is to lead them, because they're like, oh, I got to use him because he keeps me calm. That's
calm. Yep. And and it's going to be okay. So I can share my screen, but you said some people are going to be listening. So obviously, if you're just listening, I'm going to try to talk through this with you as I go through it. But in the beginning of my presentation here, I just talked about what rates have done. And mind you, I started doing this presentation in the end of March, and now I'm updating it because I'm still doing this presentation with other real estate agents. But what this is it talks about what has been going on with the interest rates. And I do explain here, these are not Summit Funding's rates. These are rates directly pulled from Freddie Mac with a 0.8 discount. Anybody can go see these rates, and they're what they publish every single day. And I explained to real estate agents at that time what a 0.8% discount means if they don't know it, right? Any lender can buy down the rate. We all can do the same thing. But this is just so you can see apples for apples. From December 30th, rates were at 3.11, all the way to April 21st, rates were at 5.11 on Freddie Mac's website. So in that time frame, they have gone up exactly 2%. Then what I show is, what does that look like on a $300,000 mortgage? So if you're in a different area with a different type loan amount, you could change this to be what you want. But within that time frame, that means their payment has gone up $348 a month.
So good to educate them on this.
So first of all, if you're not using me as your lender, you better be making sure all your buyers out there who are pre-approved have been updated with their new max sales price, because if their payment has gone up $348 and they were max finance, they can no longer afford what that lender told you. Okay. And hear me on this. If you're a loan officer listening, you should be going through your database and make sure you're updating all your pre-approvals out there.
You got to get to that. I ain't done that yet.
Yep. And we're doing a call night. So my team is all staying late one night where all my team is calling all our pre-approvals and talking to them and updating numbers and seeing how they're doing, just because I don't want to be the lender that everybody else is being and not being on top of this. So this is a $300,000 loan. My next slide's a $200,000. On a $200,000 mortgage, their payments going up $232 a month.
Can I pause you right there?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I've been working on this, updating pre-approvals, right? You can leave the screen share, I don't care. But a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to scare them out of buying. I'm like, well, check it out. If the agent spends a bunch of time with them and you spend a bunch of time with them, and then they see the payment back out, y'all could have spent that time getting new leads. So don't have the fear of they're not going to use you or they're going to not buy, because if they're not going to buy, we want to know. If they're not going to use you, you want to know so you can try to get the business. Don't stay in touch, don't stay away. Sorry, I just want to emphasize that.
No, you're fine. But if you say it like this, hey, I almost didn't want to call you because I don't want to scare you. But I also don't want you finding the perfect home and then coming back to me and me telling you you can't do it. because of what has happened with the rates. So I don't want to be the reason that happens. Okay. So I want to update this because I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. And as soon as you tell a borrower that, they go from, oh my, they're going to start feeling like, oh my gosh, this person actually cares about me.
That's good.
So you can't just hide, we have to be in front of these things, and we are doing it. So multiple reasons. We don't want our borrower to feel like that. We don't want our realtor to be out spending a bunch of money and not being able to, get a house under contract and then us not be able to finance it. It's horrible all around, but we can take all that negative and we can be a winner. We can be the hero in it if we're being proactive.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to this. Then I go into really quick some of the reasons that all this is going on. 4 major reasons. Obviously, we've dealt with every single one of these. This is where my econ major comes back and helps me a little bit. But oil crisis, inflation, stock market correction, and a major nosedive with housing affordability. And when you're explaining this to real estate agents and you say, isn't it super hard to find affordable housing? Everybody in the room starts nodding their head yes, yes. This is exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Then I speak a little bit about the Fed rate, because obviously the biggest misconception is the Fed rate. Everybody hears the Fed rate and they think it's the mortgage rate. And so I do a little bit of education to the real estate agents so they understand the Fed rate is not the mortgage rates. And if you call me the day that you hear rates are going up because the Fed's raising their rates, they already have. We already knew about that. But the Fed, when they raise their rate, it changes the cost of money. So we're talking about the cost of your credit cards, your HELOCs, your auto loans. When the Fed raises that rate, that's what changes. But this is not the reason the rates are going up. And I go into why the rates have been so low. What's been causing them to stay so low the last 2 years? Well, we do know in 2020, the Fed started buying mortgage-backed securities. They've never done that before. They started purchasing mortgage-backed securities, and that's what kept rates low. They did that back in 2020 because if you can remember back, we were all scared to death about what COVID was going to do to our economy, right?
Yeah, sure.
In March, people were locked down in their homes for weeks and months at a time. Nobody knew about their jobs. Nobody knew, it was very, very crazy.
People forget there was no one on the road. There was no one anywhere.
Ghost towns, we didn't know what this was going to look like. And so the Fed started buying these mortgage-backed securities, and that's what kept rates super, super low. It provided liquidity into the market, which helped keep the rates low. See, if you have a very strong buyer of mortgage bond securities, there's no risk, and that's what keeps the rates so low. That's what makes everybody feel really, really well. So what happened is they started buying all these mortgage-backed securities, and they have been. And then the end of December of last year, they said, we are going to start tapering. We're going to start slowing down mortgage-backed securities. And when they did that, we already knew that that was the plan. Now, they did tell us they were going to start doing it in second and third quarter.
Yeah.
And they did it in January, right? So they had us ready for second and third quarter, which is not January. But then they quickly decided, instead of tapering, so instead of slowing down, we're going to stop them all together. Oh, wait a second. Instead of stopping them all together, we're actually going to start selling them. So this is what's caused this craziness in such a short amount of time in the mortgage market and what's going on with rates. So this here is a screenshot from March of last year to March of this year. And here is 2022. And here's where you see, as soon as they said they were going to start tapering, we started seeing these rates start skyrocketing. And I will tell you, in December of last year, they told us that they thought the average rate would be 4 to 4.25. Yeah, and when we were down here, we were like, oh, that sucks. That sucks. 4.25. Now they've blown by that. We'd take 4.25, bring that back,
Yeah.
But they just keep going up and up because of this huge swing of the pendulum from purchasing them to not purchasing them, now to selling them. And we're on a roller coaster. Now, obviously, what's it going to take, for them to start slowing that down? Well, they're trying to slow down inflation. And that's the hardest piece right now is how do we get to slow down inflation? Oh my goodness, I sent this out to everybody and I didn't see that.
That's all right.
I was teasing because when I did this, I said I thought the rates would land somewhere between 5 and 5.5. And then one week, came out and everybody is saying now we think it's going to be 7.5.
There's a down payment assistance program in my market that is 7%.
Yep. Ours is 6.25 in our market right now. And everybody's, it's crazy. But here's what's really interesting with inflation, guys, is inflation. The reason inflation's so high is because money has been so cheap for so long. Like everybody and their brother has been buying things and spending a bunch of money because money has been so cheap. And so all of that buying and all of that demand has created more and more demand, but not enough supply. And we all know about the supply issues. We all know what's going around nationwide when it comes to buildings, material, and everything. So the inflation is just super, super high at the moment. So the only way we can get that inflation down is to raise the cost of lending money. That will slow people down. And that's what's going on right now. That's all the fear, right? Like in December, they could afford $300,000 and now they can't because that payment's gone up $300 a month. So that is the goal of raising these rates, is to slow everything down. But let's be honest, is it okay if we go from a market that we were receiving 60 offers on a house to now maybe receiving 2 to 5? Like, are we going to be okay? Yeah, it's going to be nice. And I tell the buyers that
it goes back to what you said. If you go out and work for the business, there's always going to be enough business.
Yep.
Like even like my town is 1.2 million, your town is 200,000, and you do your units. Like what? Like people are listening. Your individual business is so small that you can survive any market. You can dominate in any market. A big company with a 500 salesperson force, they're going to be suspect to the market, right? But you as an individual are not.
Right.
One of the things I saw in your presentation that I want you to cover, because I got to make sure I respect all these people's time, and I wanted them to hear how you presented this. But the story you tell about your borrower, can you walk me through that? Because that's so powerful.
Okay. Yep. So here, really quick, here's rates over 20 years. And I did 20 years for me because that's how long I've been in the business. But anybody can change that and do whatever they want if they're explaining this. But here's why I showed you the 20 years, and here's my story with my friend. So, and this is serious. A good friend of mine, Tiffany, and I went to high school together, and I helped her buy her home, and her first home in 2005, just her and her husband. And then after that, they had 2 kids, and they called me in 2008 and said, hey, we want to buy another home. We're busting at the seams. We're ready to do this. And it was super cute because when Tiff called, she said, and I have better credit and more money down. So it means my rate's going to be lower, right? And what was super funny about that is in 2008. So if we go back to that slide, in 2008, they were the highest I had ever seen in the in the time that I had been in the mortgage business. She started to say she didn't want to buy the home. We're just going to stay. We're going to hunker down. That's what's going on right now with everybody. Everybody is second guessing whether or not they should do this, and they're not wanting to make moves. And I'm talking sellers and buyers because they're worried about the cost, right? Because it's more expensive right now. So in 2008, Tiff said, I can't do this. I'm going to stay put. And I said, Tiff, you are staying within your budget. I need you to trust me on this. Like now, if she was really pushing outside of her budget, this wouldn't be the same story. But I believe in home ownership at any interest rate, as long as you're staying within your budget. Yep. And her budget, she was well within. And so I said, I need you to trust me on this. Everything's going to be okay. They bought the home in 2008, 6.5% interest rate on a 30-year. I'm showing you the principal and interest payments here. They're $1,137. Now, I kept out taxes and insurance because obviously those have changed over the last, 10 years, 15 years. But in 2010, rates started coming down significantly. And if I go back to that screen, you can see like we're here. We were there. We're here. We didn't know the rest of this story. So in 2010, we refinanced. Now they were making even more money at this time. So we just moved to a 20-year and kept their payment really close to the same.
After
in
2000, 2 years.
Yeah, well, it was 18 months because of when we actually purchased in August and when we and did the refi in 2010. But in 2012, they came to the lowest that I had seen ever in the business. And so we moved to a 15-year at 2.625.
And
So
their
her
payment
monthly
went up.
payment is 1103 on her principal and interest, $34 less a month than what she was paying at 6.5 on a 30-year.
So
Okay.
why do you think this is so powerful to borrowers right now? Like the loan officers are out there. A bunch of them are MLA new loan officers. A bunch of them have been around a long time. And just got through this frankly easy market.
Mhm.
So why do you think this story is so important?
Because it takes the fear out. Yeah. So I just tell my borrowers rates suck. Like rates suck right now.
Stop right there. When you guys are quoting rates and the borrower says, wow, that sounds high, say, yeah, I agree. It does sound high. Rates suck.
Rates suck. I
You
say it
agree
all the
with them
time.
and it just disarms them.
Yep. Rates suck and this is not, but guess what? And here's what I always say, rates come and go. They always do. We're just on the uphill part of this roller coaster. It's going to peak and come back down. When it comes back down, we're going to do what we did with TEF. If you're going to stay in that home, we're going to refi. If you're fine with the payment, we're going to shorten the term. If you're not, if you want to save some money, we'll save you some money. Like there's going to be a lot of options. This is going to be a short-term loan because these rates aren't going to stick around forever. But these higher rates are going to calm down that competition. So you're not going to have to pay as much over sales price like you were when there was so much competition. It's okay.
Yeah, you give them the good side. I didn't even think about that.
But let's stay in your budget.
Yeah, so you pre-approval based on their comfort zone for payments and how, like you can go to them and compare rent versus own because you're staying in their comfort zone for payments.
Yep.
And guys, you gotta have the conversation. You cannot back away from it. You can't, like they say, wow, rates are high. Yeah, I know we're doing our best. That don't work. You gotta have a story like Lacey has that shows that they can use as a realtor to educate borrowers on what's really going to happen over the long term. And you got to be willing to have the conversation to show them what's going to happen over the long term so that you can answer the question, why buy now? Why buy now? So why do you think people should buy right now?
Well, just for that purpose, I think people should buy because it's right for their family. Okay. So I'm not saying right now is the right time for every single person to buy. Like, let's be honest, if there aren't houses in the sales price or in the monthly payment that they can afford, probably right now isn't the time to buy. But hear me in this, even rent is going up everywhere significantly. And if you look at the rest of that presentation, the second part explains where did all this demand come from? Like, I know we were locked down with COVID, but we didn't produce that many people in that short a time frame. So why do we have so much demand, and is it going to continue? Because the other thing we need to be aware of is all these realtors are thinking, are we in another crash like 2008? And we are not, guys. This is not the same thing, and you need to understand how to respond to that. Like in 2008, even if you weren't in the business, we were doing bad loans. And I'm not meaning like me, like those were the guidelines, right? Like if you could do 580 and no money down and stated income, stated asset and negative amortization, and we had a lot of inventory. We are not in that same boat right now. And in fact, we're so far behind on inventory, it's going to take a while to catch up, even with higher interest rates. And the second part of my presentation explains that. And I will tell you, realtors have a big aha whenever I do that second part on why we were so far behind, is because after the crash, and people got hurt in that crash, like builders got out of the business. People lost everything. And so we haven't been building, and we haven't been doing anything that we should have been doing for the last 8 to 10 years to keep up with the increase in population. And now we're trying to play catch up.
You couldn't get a construction loan in California until about the last year and a half. You couldn't get a second mortgage for about 6 years after the meltdown, and you still can't get one above 90%. So lenders are tight, even though they're looser than they were, they're still tight. So I completely agree. It's not going to be a debacle.
Right.
But it is going to be tougher. And you are going to have to be more active. But the good news is, like, I wouldn't want any other job in America.
Right.
Like, we're so lucky to be in this. So in addition to this presentation, if you were going to give them one more sales tactic that you do that helps you meet and bond with more realtors, what would it be?
With more realtors?
I think so, more realtors, because as we go forward, right, refinances and less rates dip, they're pretty much gone. Like
Yeah.
you still get people to do some cash outs here and there, but you know, how would you, what's your best tactic for meeting new realtors in a way that makes them stick?
Okay. Well, so this is a tactic. Now, again, we're all in different phases of our journey, right? I'm not better than anybody. I'm just in a different phase in my journey. But right now, for me personally, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing for other people on my team, but for me personally, I am like in love with buddy lunches and not just two. Like I try to figure out how I can get 3 to 4. Okay. And I'm trying to make them a little bit of a mastermind, and I'm pulling a few different agents from different areas. And it has been really, really fun to take them to lunch. What's working for you? What's working for you? I can calm the fears down when I'm there. So that's
How do you get them to go to lunch? What's it sound like?
well, I don't have too many problems getting people to go to lunch.
Why?
Especially when I'm buying. I don't know.
What do you say? Like I'm telling you, what happens to the salespeople in our company is they don't know who to call or they don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But if you can tell them who to call and you can tell them what to say, most of them will do it.
Yeah. So most of my agents that I'm calling to do the lunch, I'm already working with, right? And they have a relationship with me. And then I'm asking them, who can I want one person that you also co-opt with or something that we've liked that we can invite to our lunch.
Well, aren't you worried about doing that? Because why would they want to share you? I'm just telling you the questions that people have in their minds. That's the one I hear a lot is, well, why would they introduce you to other realtors? Don't they want to just keep you to themselves?
Nope. I mean, I don't have that fear whenever, if a realtor says that to me, like, or I guess so you're saying if a customer or
like what they're saying is, I'm not going to ask my realtor to introduce me to other realtors because I'm afraid that they will feel like I shouldn't ask because they're going to want to keep me to themselves. So they won't do it.
Yeah. So
have you ever here's my question more clearly. Have you ever had a realtor say, no, I'm not going to introduce you to other realtors?
No.
Never once, right?
I never once. And so what I think when someone says that question to me, so Jim, if another lender was saying that to me, that's in your head. Like, has somebody said that to you? Like, where are you getting that from?
I've never heard it.
Right? We're creating things inside of our head and we're creating all the excuses. I don't get that. Like, I just ask and I tell them the reason, like, hey, obviously we're in a compression market. I want to help you make your goals. I need to fill about maybe 1 or 2 more deals a month. Who's an agent that we like? And I say that because you and I like each other. I don't want to mess around with a bunch of agents that I wouldn't get along with, etc. So I just, who are you thinking about? But I don't have people say that to me. But if they would, like, to me, I would just address it. You know what I mean? Like don't hide from it. I'd be like, no, that's not, you're always going to get me. You're my A agent. And you know that. Like, we have worked together for years and my job is to grow your business because when your business grows, mine does automatically. That's just a byproduct, right? And so what I give to you is never what I give to other people. Do what?
They never ever say it. It's just like
they don't.
It's all in our mind.
Yep.
So I want to be respectful and keep these to our time. So I want to ask you one more question if I could. If you were going to give me one more sales tip to get through this next 12 months of God knows what's going to happen to rates and God knows what's going to happen in the industry, you know, what would you say are the basics that I got to do?
This is going to sound super funny. It's just that simple form we do every single day, and it's a greatness tracker. And so stay out of the news, stay out of the drama, fill out your greatness tracker. And so I look at my greatness tracker on Mondays and I look at my whole week and I look at what I've already got planned and I figure out where I'm going to fill it. Right. So if I don't have enough lunches, I'm texting people on Monday to fill in my lunches. If I don't have enough face-to-faces, I'm figuring out what days I'm going to go out and see people face-to-face. I plan on Monday with what's already on my calendar and what's left. And then I'm making phone calls. And it's not going to be difficult because I'm just going to fill out my greatness tracker. The problem is everybody wants to come up with all these excuses, and that's all it is. Like, I don't have to worry about it. I'm just filling it out. And it fills my week. I can't think about anything else.
I think that the loan officers in next level coaching know, most of them know better. But, you know, when it says to have 10 conversations a day or 20 conversations in a day, it doesn't mean that those are pounding someone for referrals. It just means you're active and in front of them and talking to them about what are they doing for business and what are they doing for dinner and what are they doing this weekend. And I just want to emphasize it, guys. Stay in touch. Don't stay away. That's what the greatness tracker is.
Yep.
Send them a thank you card. Invite them to lunch. Go have coffee with them. Say hi. Ask them how their week was. Like, ask them what they're doing to get new business. Ask them if it's working. Like, just communicate and it'll work out.
Well, here's a horrible thing, and you probably are going to yell at me for saying this. I'm probably the worst about asking for business.
I agree. I'm the same.
I don't like
People
it.
think I'm a cold calling fool. I'm not. I'm a hey.
I don't
let's
like
hang out and be
this.
friends. Yeah.
Nope. I'm friends. I'm checking on them. I'm seeing how things are going. I stay in touch with them. I ask them about, like, I just remember those kind of things, and I try to stay top of mind, and it works. Now, could I potentially close 3 or 4 more deals a month if I add in a slogan here and there? Hey, do you know just one person that you could send me? I know that's a smart idea. It's not what's gotten me where I'm at now. It's probably what's going to get me to the next level. So I'm going to work on it.
I'm not even sure about that. I think there's something called the law of attraction. I think whatever you put out in the universe is what you get back. And I think that your secret sauce should never be messed with, girl. That's what I think. I think that you go out and help people, you find a need and fill it, and then whatever comes your way, and it comes your way in big chunks. So I know your time is valuable. I super appreciate you being part of our program, being one of our coaches now makes me so very happy. And kicking some serious tail in this kind of market is something you should be proud of. So congratulations.
Well, thanks for having me. This has been fun.
You bet. See you. Bye.
All right. See you later.